Section 31's place in Star Trek's timeline explained what it means for TNG and Picard. Star Trek has always been about hope, exploration, and the better angels of humanity's nature. But lurking in the shadows of this utopian future is Section 31, the Federation's most secretive, morally ambiguous intelligence agency. Its existence complicates Gene Roddenberry's vision of a pure, idealistic Starfleet, introducing questions of compromise, survival, and whether utopia can ever truly be maintained without dirty hands in the background. With the announcement of the long-anticipated Star Trek Section 31 movie, featuring Michelle Yeoh's Philippa Georgiou, it's time to dig into where this organization fits across the franchise's sprawling timeline and how it connects to the eras of The Next Generation and Star Trek. Picard. The origins of Section 31. Unlike most institutions in Star Trek, Section 31 predates the Federation itself. Its roots stretch back to Earth's earliest attempts at interstellar governance. The agency takes its name from Article 14, Section 31 of the original Starfleet Charter, which allowed for extraordinary measures to ensure the security of Earth and the Federation. On paper, this was meant as an emergency clause. In practice, it became the justification for a shadow organization working outside the normal bounds of accountability. Section 31 first entered the canon in Star Trek Deep Space Nine with the introduction of Luther Sloan, who tried to recruit Dr. Julian Bashir. For audiences, this was the first revelation that Starfleet's bright, shining utopia had a hidden counterpart. Unlike the Klingons' open warrior ethos or the Romulans' cloak and dagger politics, Section 31 was a hidden hand, manipulating events without official acknowledgement. This revelation was retroactive, of course, but it instantly expanded the lore. Section 31 was now everywhere and nowhere, pulling strings for centuries. Section 31 in the pre-TOS and Discovery era, Star Trek, Enterprise firmly established that Section 31 existed even before the Federation's founding in 2161. Malcolm Reed, a loyal Starfleet officer, was revealed to have ties with the agency, underscoring that it had been operating since at least the 22nd century. The show made clear that Section 31 had always worked in the gray areas, sabotaging threats before they could grow, even if it meant compromising Starfleet's ethics. Star Trek Discovery went further. Set in the 23rd century, just before the events of the original series, the agency was not just a whisper in the shadows. It was an open, high-tech intelligence armed with experimental ships, operatives, and advanced AI control. It even openly recruited Georgiou, the former Terran Emperor from the Mirror Universe, into its ranks. This created a striking contrast with its later portrayal. By the time of DS9, Section 31 was secretive again, almost mythological. Discovery's more visible version suggests a cycle. Sometimes Section 31 is overt, integrated into Starfleet structure, and other times it retreats into the shadows. This raises the first major timeline implication. If Section 31 could be so openly embedded in Starfleet in the 23rd century, what caused it to fade into rumor and ghost stories by the 24th? Section 31's role in the original series era. Though never directly referenced in the original series, Section 31's fingerprints can be retroactively applied to several events. The plausibility of its interference is particularly strong in covert Cold War-style operations against the Klingons and Romulans. For instance, the development of advanced cloaking countermeasures or the covert support of certain Klingon factions could easily have been orchestrated by 31. From a narrative perspective, TOS needed to present Starfleet as the moral, idealistic counterpart to Earth's past. Introducing a Black Ops element would have undercut that clarity. But when later shows layered in Section 31, it became easy to reinterpret episodes through this lens. Suddenly, moments where Starfleet made questionable tactical decisions, like deploying biological weapons against the Tribbles in The Trouble with Tribbles by grain contamination, could be argued as Section 31 operations. Section 31 in the Next Generation era. Here's where things get interesting. The Next Generation presented Starfleet at its most idealistic. Jean-Luc Picard embodied Roddenberry's vision of enlightened humanity, rarely compromising on ethics, even when it would have been easier to do so. The absence of Section 31 in the series is notable. It's almost as if the writers intentionally avoided undercutting Picard's ideals. But canonically, Section 31 must have been active. The agency was never disbanded. it simply operated outside the view of officers like Picard. In fact, its secret nature makes it plausible that TNG characters never directly encountered it. And yet, TNG offers fertile ground for retcons. The Borg threat, for example, would almost certainly have been of great interest to Section 31. While Picard was arguing for morality, one can imagine shadow operatives preparing contingency plans, including ethically dubious ones, for future Borg encounters. Similarly, during the Romulan power struggles that defined much of TNG's later seasons, Section may 31st have had its hands on the scales. The implication is that TNG's optimistic vision wasn't a contradiction with Section 31, but rather a dual reality. Picard believed he was defending a pure Federation, while Section 31 ensured that illusion remained intact. Section 31 in Deep Space Nine. DS9 broke the facade. By the 2370s, with the Dominion War raging, Section 31 could no longer hide. Luther Sloan's recruitment attempt of Bashir marked the first time audiences saw the organization in action. Unlike TNG, DS9 leaned into moral ambiguity, and Section 31 became a natural fit. Its most infamous act was the attempted genocide of the founders via a morphogenic virus. Starfleet never sanctioned it officially, but the very existence of such a weapon revealed how far Section 31 was willing to go. This brought the central conflict into sharp relief. Could the Federation survive existential threats like the Dominion or the Borg without compromising its ideals? Section 31's answer was no. For TNG's legacy, DS9 retroactively suggests that while Picard was debating diplomacy, Section 31 was preparing bioweapons. Section 31 in the Picard era. Fast forward to the late 24th and early 25th centuries, where Star Trek, Picard picks up. By this time, the Federation has endured the Dominion War, the Romulan supernova, and the Synth Ban. Although Section 31 isn't explicitly named in Picard, the show's themes carry its fingerprints. Consider the Zhat Vash, the secret Romulan sect working against synthetic life. Their methods and secrecy echo Section 31's ethos. Similarly, Starfleet's decision to abruptly ban synthetic life after the Mars attack feels very much like a Section 31-style maneuver. Preemptive, extreme, and morally questionable, but justified as protecting the Federation. It's highly possible that Section 31 survived well into this era, quietly guiding policy from behind the scenes. Even the undercurrent of paranoia and mistrust in Picard's first season seems like fertile ground for Section 31 activity. The upcoming Section 31 film, set after Georgiou's time with Discovery, may clarify its legacy. It could provide connective tissue explaining how the overt organization of the 23rd century became the shadowy myth of the 24th, and potentially hint at how it still influences the 25th century of Picard's timeline. What Section 31 means for Star Trek's themes. The existence of Section 31 reframes the entire franchise. Starfleet's pristine image is no longer absolute. It is conditional, perhaps even fragile. Humanity's utopia isn't flawless. It is protected by people willing to do terrible things in the dark so that others can live in the light. For the next generation, this complicates Picard's moral high ground. His speeches and principles are still valid, but they may have been enabled by unseen operatives making choices he would find abhorrent. This doesn't diminish Picard, it enhances